Good morning and welcome back. Welcome back to Who Am I? It's just a little show I have come up with. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, all things that I find most interesting to me: the nature and shape of the universe, the new understandings of unified physics. We're going to try to understand better human psychology. We're going to dissect history. We're going to understand politics. We're going to think about how the energies move. And through that understanding, we come to understand the nature of all things. At least as far as human beings go, we can understand ourselves. We can know who we are, where we're going, what we're all about. I listen to different people. I don't listen to much anymore. I do like well, these days, almost any time when I tune into Gaia or wisdom on the internet, it comes at me. I can hear it echoed in everybody. I hear wisdom everywhere. So it almost doesn't matter whether I'm listening to Tony Robbins or whether I'm listening to Oprah Winfrey or whether I'm listening to the Dalai Lama or whether I'm listening to Eckhart Tolle or Greg Braden or Bruce Lipton or Marianne Williamson or Paul Levy or Gary Zukov or thousands of people that I don't know their names. I keep seeing them. Content creators are just belching this stuff out. You can find general wisdom everywhere, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. You can hear the wisdom of your own heart echoed everywhere. That's what it is, and it reinforces the aspect of yourself that is this wise heart. It's this thing, I think it's a matrix of energy that's connecting us. And I didn't come up with that, but that's the version I favor. This divine matrix that we are all embedded in, that we are all a part of, that we are all, both of those statements were not entirely correct, that we are all made of. How about that one? We are all made of this. So I'm very excited about the future. I was listening to Bashar yesterday, and it was something he said. This wasn't very long ago. This was not general wisdom from pre 2012 or whatever. Because Bashar has been Daryl Anka has been channeling Bashar for 40 years, for over 40 years. Met him, what would have to be 50 years ago. Isn't that crazy? No. That's not. He didn't meet Bashar 50 years ago. He had the UFO sighting 50 years ago. 51 years ago. But that started the ball rolling, and some 10 years later, he meets Bashar. That's right. So he's been channeling him for 40 years. The reason I mention it is because I'm thinking about, obviously, what I heard him say about the splitting. We are coming to a choosing point where you are either you want to play out one side or the other, the dark side or the world is splitting. Which what mixture of which do you want to experience? It's weird. I have been studying the Holocaust, but I believe I have been studying it in order to prevent it, in order to make sure I choose the side that doesn't go that way, the side that recognizes who we are and moves forward unconditionally into a world of fabulous condition. What does she mean by that? Well, you got to focus on the unconditioned. And if you focus on the unconditioned, the condition comes out way, way better. Because the unconditioned always comes first. And what is the unconditioned? It's the force, the impetus, or the structure in place before it became something. Well, what is that? It's vibration. It's vibration, it's intention, it's desire, it's connection, it's... So what am I talking about in this case? I want a world of abundance and freedom and fun and joy and understanding and unconditional actioning. I want to be on the branch of Earth that moves towards the way Bashar's planet is, where it's not exactly a currency of money. So we have this money thing, and there's a reason for it. And it actually keeps you honest in a way. It makes sure that you have your eye to the materiality project, that you're taking it seriously. It's a medium that connects us. It's a currency, actually. It's sort of I think of it as a ticket into the supply chain of humanity. And you get to choose whatever you buy with this currency. And you gain currency by contributing something to the supply chain of humanity. Something that humanity wants, something that they need. Now, if your currency, the way you're trying to make money is through the healing of humanity, the problem with that is, the going's really good right now. But for any kind of a long-term project, the problem is if we do it correctly, we could get healed right away. What happens if we have something that heals us right away? Now, what does everybody do for a living? If I can't fix your teeth and I can't straighten out your crazy ass kids and I can't, heal you of one of 10,000 jillion ever-present, ever-growing ailments that we could be, healing you from. If we're all well, now what do? You really should ask your question. Ask the question that way. If we were all well, now what would I want to do? Now what would I think is relevant to do? I have somebody, what I think she really wants to do is I think she wants to be on a farm with baby goats for her little boy and an ability to teach him solid values. Raise goats, make goat cheese, raise raspberries, make raspberry jam, have honey, bees, apiaries on the property. So cool, so cool. The thing is the future that we are headed for is one where everybody is looking out at the landscape and thinking about what they could do with it and what they might want to do with it, what beautiful architecture or gardens they could create, or what farm or what creation project and what would it look like? Now, in today's day and age, it would look different than it would have looked a couple hundred years ago, and I am not inviting you to look at it the way our history ran. I am inviting you to look at it unconditionally. Look at the landscape. Look at who we are. What kinds of creatures we are. Well, what kinds of creatures we are is we are creatures of the earth. We are connected to each other. We are connected to the land. We are connected to life itself. The rhythms of the sun and the moon and the planets and the galaxy and the universe. We are one with the flow of all that is. That's who we are. And if we live from that position, then you start wanting what you need. You start wanting to create beauty more than your desires being bent in the possession of such and such. Your desires are more in the direction of, I want to experience X, Y, Z. I want that's what it is. I want to feel these feelings. What feelings do I want to feel? Freedom, security, connection, abandon, joyful, connected abandon. How fun would that be? Well, Bashar tells us that his planet is such that they don't actually work on currency so much anymore. It's that as people are all in the throes of all the projects that they are involved in, all the things that they are doing and wanting to do, they just, everyone is in sync. And what you need and what you want just shows up right at the moment that you need and want it. And that will happen if you choose to align all of who you are with the structure of the matrix around you. And then your desires become the desires of the matrix itself. And so it's playing out its larger desires through all of the small, all of the delights of the beings within it as they need what they need to build this thing or make this thing. There it is. You know, I saw I heard a story. It was Jean Houston that I did a seminar of hers, an online seminar back in 2020. Online seminars hit a really big moment right then when everybody was stuck home, you know, so everybody's doing online seminars. Now online seminars that you pay for, they aren't such a big deal because there is so much beneficial content out there right now that people don't want to just pay out and out, you know, hundreds of dollars, even if it's just a couple hundreds of dollars. They don't want to pay that $400 just to go do an online seminar with some, you know, whatever. But she told an interesting story. She was walking down the road with, I think it was Margaret Mead, but I'm not sure if that was the name that she used. It was somebody important, somebody you'd recognize the name of, you know, and it was somebody who was important enough that and had enough power and energy and connection going on with their life. You know, they were going to address the UN the next day. That's the level they were at, and they had a speech, and there was some aspect of it that they really needed to fill in. They needed an answer to something to make sure that some point in their speech was accurate, in her speech was accurate. And as they're walking down the road, and this speech is tomorrow, they run into the person who, you know, wrote the book on whatever it was that Margaret Mead needed, you know, to fill in her speech for the UN tomorrow. It was like right there. I need it right now. Here it is. That sort of thing. And you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to think about it. The universe is delivering it to you at the moment that you needed it, because you are tuning your equipment, your frequencies, your desires, your whole being, who you are becoming the universe. You are becoming the desires of the universe. You are becoming the energy of the universe. You are becoming the intention of the universe. And as such, all the processing power, all of the um, cooperative component gathering power starts to blend and mesh with the power of the universe. So that's the future I want all of us to find. The version of Earth that I personally, me, want to ride to where it's going. Uh, this is the version that I want. The one where we make it. The one where it's really, really fun. I'm going to tell you how cool it's going to be. The materials, um, materials, what's the word? It's not physics. It's the study of materials. Materials what? I don't know. I can't come up with the word. The study of materials. The ability to produce interesting materials is going to get really good too. I'm telling you, our gravity control and plug into to source energy for our clean, free energy. First of all, you got to believe it's possible. Most of us here, if we have been traditionally or conventionally educated, we have been taught to believe that's not possible. And the reason we think it's not possible is because we think that if we build a device that puts out amperage or voltage or whatever that is, that puts out output so that we could plug into or that we could use to generate our other devices, that constitutes us creating energy out of nothing. And we didn't do that. That's not what happened when we did that. First of all, you gotta understand the universe as a larger frame. And over unity devices have been achieved. That's devices that put out more than it takes to run them. And they have been achieved by a number of different ways. And there are other ways that we could do it. I keep banging this drum. People who listen to me all the time, I hope that you're not tired of me saying this, because I say it in all kinds of different ways. Although I keep saying the same thing. And I keep pointing at the same examples. The guy who modified a conventional internal combustion engine so that he could run it on almost all water with just a little bit of oil to keep it from seizing up and rusting or whatever, to keep the water from hurting it. But it was mostly water is what that engine was running on. So another guy came up with a whole new kind of internal combustion engine that ran on water. Solar panels that are way more... see, now that kind of stuff, this kind of stuff, but apparently national security was threatened, and to a point they're not wrong. When we get past the splitting point and we're a little more sure that we're on the side that's making it, not the side that goes dark over there, the side that gets to experience what it feels like when you F up really bad and absolutely refuse to connect yourself with the wholeness, and you just run your physical mind, run that scape. What kind of hellscape can you come up with when all of the minds leave their inner beings behind and run the world. There's going to be a whole bunch of people who want to live that experience. Well, I'm telling you right now, I don't want to live that experience. When the paradigms shift more. Now there's the extreme on the one side and extreme on the other side, and there's everything in between, but it becomes harder and harder to make the jump from the way dark to the way light. So there's this splitting moment that's happening, and it's happening right now. And we are choosing right now, who am I? And in action, you have to communicate to your inner being who speaks the language of action. She doesn't speak the language of thought. You are hearing her in your thought. Your thought is a translation of her vibration, but you aren't speaking to her through that. She's speaking to you through that. How are you going to speak to her? When you think those thoughts that are so big and amazing in the middle of the night, under the covers, when you get all in a mode of allowing, and you just start musing about the all of the meaning of the universe and all of the things that you know, that's her communicating with you. That's not you communicating with her. The way you have to communicate back with her, because she is dealing with all of the actions of all of physical reality everywhere. The way you communicate with her is through action. You have to find an action that shows her, I hear you. I hear you. Because this is her through you saying, this is who I am. So you got to find some way, and I was resistant because I didn't want to be the one driving it. I didn't want my head to be the one driving it, so I had to get still. I had to get still and kind of not really do much of anything. I spent a lot of time playing Bubble Mouse, listening to Frasier, being awake, being, just kind of flowing. Started to do this little thing, this little Who Am I project. And it's changing my life, I'll tell you. My body has never felt so lithe. Well, it has. It did when I was much younger, but frankly, for how I've felt lately, I'm starting to feel pretty good. And I think it's going to all start paying off. And all because I started bringing these knowings that I have into some form of physical action. And what has this action been for me? Well, honestly, it's been this show. The Who Am I project. Me putting all of my thoughts together in the same place at the same time, over and over and over and over every day, as I put these things together, as I talk about who am I, who are we, how does this work? And I talk about the problems that we have that we cannot ignore, but you don't want to focus on them because you don't want to be a fixer of problems. Because a fixer of problems is out of work as soon as all the problems come into alignment. And so there's sort of a place inside of you that is sort of still in alignment with the sickness and keeps the sickness going at the same time that you are the healer of the sickness, but always you resist the ultimate healing, because then you're out of a job. So go find something that you want to do in this world that is a little more than just the healing of the planet. Let's assume for a minute the planet is healed. Now what do you want to do? Have a farm? Oh, I would love a farm. But you know what? A farm is a lot of physical work that takes a lot of physical stuff, which I would love to do. I would love to do in a world that I thought was in alignment. But right now, I feel called to sort of stand up and preach to a world that is out of alignment, about how to better get into alignment, how to better understand who we are so that we can achieve a better outcome. Period. Full stop. We love our neighbor because we are lovers, not necessarily because our neighbors are lovable. And we love our president, not necessarily because he's lovable, although we try really hard to find something lovable about him, to bring him back to the side of love. That's the answer, not to abandon him and say, you know what? I see Hitler. That's our PTSD talking, because first of all, it's not Hitler. Second of all, this is not the same moment in time. We have come a long way in the last 100 years, both to make sure that our attention and focus does not land in the same way that it did last century and grow into darkness, the likes of which, I studied a lot. I still study. It's fascinating and it's meaningful. And there is some truth to the adage, those who don't learn the history are doomed to repeat it. There is some truth to that. There is also some truth to you get what you think about, and depending on what aspects of history you are focused on, because if you're focused on the fearful places, aware of the fearful places is one thing, focused on them is another. I'm aware of the fearful places. I'm aware of what could happen. Viscerally, am I aware? No. Do I want to be viscerally aware? Not really. But I'm aware that it goes all the way to Holocaust. Okay, I get it. So I'm aware, but that's not what I'm focused on. What I'm focused on is how cool we are, and how cool the setup of the universe, and how cool the divine matrix is, and how cool the quantum field is, and how supportive it is, how unconditionally supportive it is, because there is a vantage point in the universe from which you are unconditionally supported. So whichever tack you want to take, the universe will freely echo it back to you, because it's sort of this feedback, feed forward thing going from where you are. And so it very immediately feeds back to you. Whatever you are feeding it, it is echoing it right back to you. You're feeding it into the system, and it's circulating all the way through the system and feeding back to you in a real, you are getting a full dose of what you are putting out. That's what you are getting back. And then to a smaller degree, because if you're trying to imagine the allness, you, little physical you, are quite small. But you, in consciousness you are quite large. And when you are aligned with the universe, you are huge. But when you are not aligned with the universe, you are dust in the wind. You are teeny tiny. And that's why Abraham talks about, those who are in alignment with this source energy, this source of who you are more powerful than millions who are not. Because of this, you line up with it, you become one with its desires, and then its resources become your resources. When your desires are its desires, then you can just imagine. So how does that work? How do you achieve that? You get into alignment with who you really are. And first of all, one of the things you need to recognize is that you are in alignment with this self all the time. Whenever you are in a at least satisfied or higher state of being, state of mind, you are in some level of alignment with this great energy that is the beating heart of the universe. So what's the secret? Well, whenever you fall out of it and your thinking mind goes with you, your thinking mind is thinking stuff, and it's all woven into with your beliefs and all kinds of stuff. You need to find where your negative beliefs are and extract them from your picture. Because it's like Bashar was saying yesterday, only it wasn't Bashar, it was Daryl. It was just a human being just like me. And I believe him in the same way I think you should believe me, because it's going to ring and resonate with your positive self. It's a very hopeful message, this recognition of who we really are and how to operate it. There's no reason to not try to believe me. I'm not advocating anything that would ever create a negative emotion within you. And if it does, well, then you're interpreting me incorrectly, and so I wouldn't believe that either. You know, if what I say resonates with things inside of you that ignite fear or uncertainty, well, then fill it out more. Don't ever believe anything that you don't believe, you know. If it does not make sense to you, do not believe it. And you will find that in the end, the universe makes absolute, utter, beautiful, poignant, all encompassing sense. You know, that's when you know you're on the track. It feels so good. And that's the universe I want to follow. I am not interested in that universe of darkness. Actually, I studied it as a youth. I've been there, done that. I cried for it. I cried for it. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. Don't want to do it again. Absolutely do not want to do it in reality. And so, how are we going to fix it? You have to put flowers in the ends of those pointy guns. You have to show the world that, you know, you're willing to play nice and be nice with all the world. Now, there is a problem in the sense that there is a mindset, actually, there is a big problem. It's what we're up against, you know. Paul Levy calls it Wetiko. It's a condition where the head and the heart are not connected to one another. And anyone whose head and heart are not connected to one another is a danger to themselves and society. Now, quite frankly, does this sound like anybody you know? One of the things about Kamala Harris that you could say is that she actually is not the center, the fulcrum, the center of the vortex of any configuration of power. That's not who she is. When she didn't win, she's going to be nothing. She is going to be nothing, a blip on the pages of history. On the other hand, Trump himself and the power of his personality, the force of his personality, his conviction, his energy, his emotion, that's what has pulled together the Trump organization. And so to that extent, he is the power over there. She was never the power. Where is the power over there? It's sort of it was the Weimar Republic again trying to, you know, coalesce over there on that side, and it didn't quite make it. Now, if I had gotten out ahead of this, maybe I would be experiencing a different universe, one where she won and somehow we just gaily and smoothly, you know, tripped on to, because I threw my passion into this earlier on and told people the story of what could happen and the story of what would happen if we threw ourselves well, you know, we can still turn this around. I'm sure of it. We did not just elect Hitler. That's not what we did, but we did do something. And the answer to this whole problem is what it has always been. I think we need to understand who we are, collectively, generally, as a people, as a species on planet Earth. We need to come to generally understand generally who we are. And until such time as we do so, there will be forces that will be pitted against us, trying to keep us from everything from clean, free energy and gravity control and over unity and all that kind of stuff. It's going to try to keep us from that. But at the point when we understand who we really are, they can't stop us, because we can use the very nature of the matrix to get whatever we want. But the secret of that is you have to understand the nature of the matrix and the nature of yourself as the matrix, because you are the matrix. You are made of Plancks. You are the desire of the universe. And if your desires line up perfectly with exactly what the universe wants, then everything that you want will flow to you naturally and easily. Now, if what you want is a fleet of, methane belching, fossil fuel burning, mega rare earth using vehicles, well, everybody can't want that and get it. Now, somebody could maybe want it and get it, maybe if they really, 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 really wanted it. The thing is you can want what you want, and you can try to become the frequency of that thing that you want. And to a point, I understand what they're saying, but I don't exactly interpret it that way. I think that the number one task is to discover on a deep level who you are, who you really are, where your higher self really is, your eternal always self, your larger connected self. Who are you? And learn how to flow with that. And it'll be so satisfying, because you will learn to flow with yourself in a bigger and bigger way, where we're having fun being all the parts of the machinery, all the parts of the distribution and production system of the abundance creating machine that we are creating here on planet Earth. We understand that we can plug our technologies directly into source energy. We can recreate the abundance that we have slashed and destroyed here on planet Earth. We can even help to assist diversity coming back. We can love and we can even help encourage kinder, more cooperative versions of things, so that they aren't so scary and they aren't so dangerous, and they play nice with our children, and we don't have to worry about I love the tigers and the lions and all that kind of stuff, and at some point we need to learn how to bring all of the dangerous stuff back in a way that we can teach our children to not be dangerous for, because that's what we've done here up in North America. We've killed off everything that could possibly hurt us, and anything that even hurts our chickens we want to destroy. Get rid of the coyotes, get rid of the wolves, get rid of the mountain lions or the bears, or what else did we used to have? Anyway, most of those not so much anymore, because you go out into the Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Who are we? Who are we? And how can we do a better job? How can we do a better job? How can we make it to that version of Earth that I want to participate in? I want to participate in a version of Earth where we understand who we are from a cooperative, collective standpoint. How much fun is it going to be? Oh, that's the one I want to focus on. I want to focus on a world where we're all doing what we want to do, regardless of the fact that. So I know too many people who are the in the business of the healing arts right now. And you've got to look past that just a little bit. Know that the healing arts should be a bridge for some and a permanent calling for others. Some might feel it as I can see my place in this structure, as a bridge between worlds, for always. I can see me having a practical position in a healed world. If you can see that, then you're in good shape. But if the world has to stay sick for you to have a job, then if we have to assume that condition that it is your business to fix, is an ongoing problem that can't ever be solved permanently. But imagine what would you do in a world that was not sick? What would you do? What would you want to do? Build houses still? Design houses? Raise farm animals? Raise vegetables? Build theme parks? Design golf courses? Set up wildlife sanctuaries and do studies on whatever. So many things to do. So many things to do. Beauty and design. Or do you want to run an eatery, a bed and breakfast, a bed and breakfast would be fun. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. I know what I want to do. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to ponder this for a minute because we could do this. A bed and breakfast, not an Airbnb. And maybe it's one of those things that sometimes it's a bed and breakfast and sometimes it's an Airbnb, depending on whether we are across the pond or not. What a great idea. Something that adds everything that you want to do. Everything that you want to do. I want land. I want, I'm going to have to hatch this. I've got to come. So Abraham tells us that before you ever lift a finger, before you ever hammer that first nail or buy the first whatever, most projects are vibrationally mostly done. And the more vibrational work that you do in the air before you bring it into physical reality, the easier of a time in physical reality you're going to have. If the very first instant that you think about building your dream house, you go out to the junk pile, and rustle up, see what kind of wood you've got, and immediately go into action, you're not going to build a very good dream house. It's not even going to be like a fort like you used to build when you were kids. Or maybe that is what it's going to look like. But if you let it gestate until and ripen, until you really know every element, I want this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Now we're on to something. I think I need to. I'm gonna work on this. I don't need to talk this out loud. I do need to talk about it out loud, but not on the Who Am I show. Oh, okay. All right. Who am I? So how are we going to get to off of fossil fuels? How are we going to get to humanity where we want to go? Well, you got to understand the structure of the universe. It is fully supporting you. Yay on the one hand, and yet, oops, that also means it is going to support you in your darkness. So be careful. Understand who you really are. You may be bringing darkness into the world because you think you're pushing against darkness, but in a way, you are saying, this is who I am. This is who I am. I push against darkness. I push against darkness. I push against darkness. And maybe that's what you want to do. But did you know that it's probably better to live the life that says, I am light, I am light, I am light? We are light. Now, if you say, I push against darkness and other dark human beings, instead of saying, this is who human beings are, we are light, and we need to understand ourselves. We need to understand ourselves so that we can collectively all go to a better place. That's what I want to do. I want to go to a better place. I want to move planet Earth to a better place. I want to move us all to a better place, to a higher understanding of who we are and what is possible. If we would, so somebody needs to come up with an over-unity device that they put out onto the internet, open source on 1 million platforms all at once, so that it can't be retracted by those who would like to keep it from us. That's the first thing. Actually, I don't know if it's the first thing. The very first thing is we need to know who we are, so that when we get this enormous power in our hands, we use it for good. We don't fear everybody using it for evil. That's the problem. If you fear that those people are going to use it for evil, and all of your actions come from your fear of them doing something, then your actions are out of alignment and contributing to the chaos. Chaos with a capital K. Or capital C, if you want to go that way, or the more mythological Greek definition of chaos. Because I do mean it more in a bigger up the line, almighty kind of way. Who are we? It's a really important question. And which earth do you want to ride? Do you want to ride the one into darkness, where the actions of people based on their fear of what is happening around the world and their recognition of this authoritarian psychosis and their deep recognition historically of what this has led to in the past? Or do you want to ride the version of Earth that recognizes that the past is the past and the present is a different time, and we can take our recognition, our realization, our understandings from our history and be better? The us and them paradigm is the problem, people. It's the polarity itself. How many times do I have to say that before you? See, I don't get any feedback, so I have no idea how or if or when anybody ever gets anything that I say. The only feedback I ever get, because I don't get a chance to lecture anybody like this except for my girls. I can get them, especially if they are in a moment where they're having issues with their lives. Then, boy, do they listen to me, because they need my help, they need my money, they need my shelter, they need my food, or sometimes it's just they need my advice because they are distraught and they need to be talked from the ledge. They need to be turned back around. The way I see it is they've gotten themselves turned backwards, and they come to me and I help them untangle it. I help them face forward again. And now, with your positive outlook based on this larger frame, now go address the same life. Now, don't get yourself facing in the same, disappointed or frightened or whatever position. You find that when you're pessimistic, the world that you're dealing with is a completely different world than the world you are dealing with when you are optimistic. So, anyway, this show gives me an opportunity to branch out, to be mother to more than just my own children, but to advise the children of planet Earth how this works. What you put out is what you get back, and it just works that way. Just be flat about that. You don't have to inject any emotion into that. Know it from a matter-of-fact standpoint. Don't judge yourself. Just know that it's going to be true. And so try to get yourself facing forward as we address all of the problems ongoing. There's going to be things that are going to be happening. There are going to be people who are going to try to convince us, or they're going to sneaky do it on the side because he's going to hand off these permits and stuff to his buddies and his pals and his cronies and stuff. The physical people doing the physical things around the earth right now, which includes things like, the oil companies and the status quo systems that be as they exist on the planet today. He is king of those things today. And they're going to try to drill the Sungus Forest, probably. They would have tried it 4 years ago, so I don't know why they wouldn't try it now. More than ever. We'll see. I don't know. I actually have a lot of faith. The world that I see, the world that I am living in, the world where I am taking these actions, if I instead was doing something else, like ignoring this altogether, sublimating all of this stuff and going down a different path, maybe I would be walking towards a different earth. But the earth that I am walking towards is the one that's gonna make it. So if you want to go to the earth that's gonna make it, I hope you're resonating with these things that I say. Although the only actions that I ever want to, specific actions I want to advise anybody to do, is get into alignment with your source. Know who you really are as the universe, as the whole thing, as the big systems, as humanity itself. Know who you are as that. And from that position, everything you do will be either directly or indirectly beneficial to us all. That beautiful garden that you create, that delicious cheese that you make, that fabulous eatery that you open, that amazing, warm, cozy, snuggly Airbnb that you, oh my God, I can't even believe that I'm thinking this, but I have the most amazing ideas. Wow, they are churning in my mind. How much fun would this be? I want to have fun. I want to walk away from this and I want to go have fun. I want to found a dynasty. I'm ready to go. Anyway, who am I? And how are we all going to get to where we want to be? Well, find your passion. Find that wick of fire and delight. And not the one that's driven by fear, hatred, anger, aggrievement, outrage, blame, guilt, shame, any of those. Don't follow those. Those aren't really you. Those are you facing backwards. And when you operate facing backwards, you create this tremendous shadow energy in the field. I call it Shiva energy, Loki energy, demonic energy. It is just a matter-of-fact thing. It's not even anything. But it's caused every time a human being faces backwards and walks forward anyway. Creates this shadow self, this chaotic energy, and I'm gonna spell the word chaotic every time I spell it. I'm gonna spell it with a K. Chaotic energy that then idle hands pick it up and wield it to the detriment of us all. It bang, bang, bang. It knocks things down. It destroys structure around us. It's the destroyer, Shiva, the destroyer. It's how it works. And if we understood it just from a matter of fact way, just a matter of fact way, we would understand our very nature all the way down to the soles of our feet. Actually, farther than that, all the way down to the very to our atoms, all the way down to the Planck structure of our bodies. Because you are not just your bodies, because you are a field that at that level there's no dividing any of us. We are all in this together. We are, but you do have a lot of power. Boy, do you have a lot of power, as a matter of fact. And we're going to be testing this because I really hope that my further understandings and my ability to pull what we're doing together, pull myself together and all of our desires together, I think I know what we need to do. And I think it's going to be delightful. Let's see. Who am I? Who am I? I'm having a hard time getting my mind off this idea that I really want to start thinking about, and I want to start talking about it. And I'm gonna record me talking about it, but I don't want to put it on the show here. Who am I? Who am I? And at what level? What am I talking about? What am I talking about? Who am I in reference to source energy? What the heck is this source energy? What is source energy? What is the source of all reality around us? Where is it really coming from? And you know what? We pretend like we understand it, but we do not understand it. Anytime that you are present when someone that you have known all your life passes out of existence and that light leaves their eyes and you don't know where they went, you get a sense of this. Wow, I really don't understand this. Anytime you are in the presence of a baby being born, there they are. Where did that come from? You know? It's just amazing. We have so much more to grok about this magnificent universe that we live in. So much more about ourselves, and if we would lean into it that direction, lean into our true selves, who we really are, we will make it past this moment in time, this moment in political and social history that may seem precarious. There's a lot of people who aren't completely happy still, you know? And there was going to be people on the other side who weren't completely happy. They were going to probably show up to the Capitol with guns on January 20th to make sure that he got sworn in even if he didn't win. Now, the good news is I don't think our side's going to do that. I don't know of anybody who's going to show up with guns to make sure that Kamala gets, inaugurated, even if we think the election was stolen. But there's a lot of people out there, they're screaming about it. I don't know. Is the election stealable either way? And if it is, then what would it take to make absolutely freaking sure, with absolute transparency, that the election isn't stolen? I'm not sure that all sides have that as their objective. It's possible that one side just wanted the power. I don't know. I don't know, but I know that the very act of me personally judging puts me in the wrong place. So we're going to back off from that. The polarity is the problem. Remember, we need to see this as us. This is what we do, not what they did. You know, look at what they're doing. It's more like, look what we're doing. And then you bring it under the umbrella of who am I? Because I am part of we. And we're looking for the win, 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 win. Multiply that times 8 billion people. Now win, 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 win. Multiply that by probably hundreds of billions of other biological creatures that we also want to succeed with us. Hundreds and hundreds of billions of them, I hope. And then trillions if you're talking smaller and smaller and smaller organisms all over this planet. And then you add that all back into the oneness of the biofield of this planet. All of that win, 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 win. Now, a lot of times when people jump to the large system in their thinking, they cut themselves out. They forget to have themselves win at the same time. So they sacrifice themselves for the greater good or sacrifice themselves for the greater whole. And that's the problem, because you don't want to sacrifice yourself for the whole. You want to be your highest, greatest, most expansive self for the whole. That's what serves the whole. For you to have the biggest win that doesn't make other people lose. So it's not, look at what I won and all of you losers. It's not like that. It's you win for the group, and we all win, and we all, have a parade down, Main Street celebrating how cool we all are. Do you understand this spirit? This spirit that I speak of every day. Who am I? Who am I? You are a spirit. And this spirit that you are is freedom, beauty, love, honor, joy. It's all of those unconditional things that you want in conditions. And that's the task. You have to birth these noble spirits into this life of conditions that we find ourselves in. We'll birth the unconditioned into the condition, and actually that's the hard way to think of it. I mean, you can think of it that way, but when you do it, you don't think of it that way. You just be who you are. Just know who you are. You are love. You are connected to all things. You are unconditionally supported by the universe. And you may want to take a moment to meditate upon the meaning of that. Because no matter what you believe, the universe will back you up to a point. And the point may be all the way. I don't know. There may not be a point. It'll back you up all the way. If you choose to work the paradigm, to believe, to work your structure in your physical mind, such that you believe that it's an us versus them paradigm, that it's a win-lose game, that it's a zero-sum game, that it's a finite pie, that you have to be in constant conflict all the time with your neighbors in order to decide who is fit to survive and who needs to go, because that's how the world gets strong, is through this constant conflict and struggle. And so that's what we have to do. If that's how you want to play the game, you can drive the whole world into the horror of that paradigm. And that's what we did last century. And that's why I don't think we need to do it again, because we know that it goes all the way to. We are unconditionally supported in that horrifying. Although, you know what? In the end, Hitler was not supported because he believed that genes, genetics, and the master race, that the superior genetics of his people was why they were going to win, and that they had the winning, they were playing the winning hand because that was what mattered, this genetics, of this noble genetics. Well, he couldn't have been more wrong, and as it turned out, his notion of constant conflict actually just made the whole world unite to grind his nose into the dirt. And so he actually didn't have a formula that was capable of creating a 1,000-year Reich. Although, it's possible that it could. The Roman Empire went on for a very long time. Although the thing about the Roman Empire, they did not have the kinds of connection technology that we have now. I don't know what kind of a difference that is going to play into the game. I don't know how much harder it is to drive the world into a dark place. Maybe it's easier. I don't know. The world I'm going to ride, it's not going to a dark place. I promise you. The world I'm riding, it's going to a good place. An amazing, amazing, amazing future awaits us as we understand who we are. And I think that the missing ingredient is we don't know who we are, and that's why I do my show. I want to help raise consciousness. I want to help us understand that we are one with this quantum field. Now, I haven't really said anything about anything today, except for it's been kind of more like a spiritual pep talk as opposed to a matter-of-fact presentation or discussion about the nature and shape and structure of our metaphysical being, you might say, our oversoul. We consist of two components. We are all a being that consists of two components. The one component is obviously the avatar on the ground, the conventional self that we all consider this is who I am. And you are unique. This you that you are actually is special and will not ever live quite this way again. So that's cool. So value yourself. You are precious. You are wonderful. Now, the spirit that you are, the intention that you are, the knowledge that you are, even the desire that you are, the information that you are, all of those things are going to continue. And you can, if you want to, come back into another body. At the same time that you don't come back into another body, because everything is always happening all at once. There's nothing waiting in the wings to happen in a way, because it's all always happening. I don't think that cuts out your ability to make it more, though, which is, that's all very paradoxical, isn't it? That's how you know you're on the right track. When you're in a field of paradox, you're like, oh, I'm there. I finally have found it. Who am I? Who am I? Worthy question. We will come back tomorrow. We will ask it again and again and again. I will let you know if any of my ideas come into fruition. I think I have some ideas about projects that maybe I want to do, and I wonder whether or not anybody wants to help me with these. I have a pair of potential cooperative components that might be delighted to do this. So I will keep you posted. I think I may be having a teaching session. Hold on a second. All right. I was just double checking some texts. There is a possibility I might get a lesson tomorrow. So, but otherwise it might be Sunday again, in which case I won't be live streaming until Monday. Just stay tuned. It'll happen. It'll happen. I will be podcasting at some point. I will come out to a broader audience. Maybe I don't need to. I don't know. Who am I? I'm still working on that one. Who am I and what do I want in this world? What do I want to do? What do I want to make happen? How do I want to live my life? Lots of questions. Anyway, until tomorrow, when we will open up this whole can of worms all over again. I didn't hardly talk at all about over unity, about genetic modification. I didn't talk about the black hole structure, or even my links list. What did I talk about? I don't know. But we'll do it again tomorrow. And until then, I do appreciate you. Keep on trucking, keep on plugging. And until tomorrow, may the source be with you.